to break investors' patterns. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Futurist Mindset Show. My name is Tessa, and I'm here to introduce you to Reagan Rodriguez. Reagan is a futurist who teaches stratosphere wealthy legacy families how to become impact investors. So, hi, Reagan. How are you?
I'm doing awesome. I really am. It's been a great week. How about yourself?
It has been a great week. We're getting into summer weather. I just can't help but be happy when there's sunshine. So, but I'm excited.
Hmm?
This show, you are actually going through step 11 and 12 on the 12 steps to raise funds. So I'm excited to hear more today.
Yeah, and I feel they kind of both go together. And I want everyone to see value in this, not just on what we went over last week that were 9 and 10, and then the other ones that we went over. I want this to kind of sink in because I'm kind of wrapping it all up.
Mhm.
So participation from you would help. Okay. And a
I'm
lack
here
of
for you.
participation. Yeah. Just answer it. Obviously, like you always would, honestly, right? What I meant by that is don't overthink on it,
Mhm.
and there's no real wrong answer. If there is, that's actually not a bad thing because I can kind of clarify it. Therefore, if you misunderstood it, chances are others will as well, and it'll help me explain it a little more. So, for
Okay.
example, step 11 is a pattern interrupt. What a great way to begin that way by saying, have you ever heard that term pattern interrupt? And if so, can you give me like a brief definition? And then I'll
Right.
let you know if you're on or not, if you're right
Okay.
or
Well,
not.
to
Yeah.
me, a pattern interrupt would be changing something you're doing so you can get a different outcome. Like if you don't work out and it's because you don't have your gym bag, you might bring your gym bag with you or something like that. That's
Yeah.
my thought. I don't know.
Sure. I think the proper term or definition on that is breaking a habit. It's
Mhm.
interesting, something I remembered you mentioned about the summer. I remember about 9, 10 years ago, I used to have this neighbor, and she wintered in South Florida, but summered in Pennsylvania. And her husband was a doctor and she was a psychologist. And whenever I would see her at the pool, I would always say, "Oh, I just got this new book on psychology." And I'd talk to her and she would almost be like, "I don't want to talk about psychology." And she would always like to talk about numbers and investing. And I'm like, "I'm at the pool. I don't want to talk about that." And so one day I was telling her about a pattern interrupt and she goes, "A what?" And I said, "How is it that you're a psychologist and you don't know what pattern interrupt is?" And she said, "Just like most of the things that you talk about, Regan, that's more pop psychology, what you talk about." And I said, "Oh, okay, fine." So maybe that term, you guys can Google it. Maybe it is more of a pop psychology term. Let me tell you how I apply it to my work. Is that certain people or all of us in our work, we operate under patterns, right? Like a routine. And we have certain things that we do or say, and we don't know why. And so everybody deals in patterns with what we do, especially if you've been doing it for a long time. So learn to break that pattern. So for example, I'm going to give a easy example that I think everyone can relate to, a retail store. And I'm going to talk about me as a guy. If you walk into a retail store, the first thing they're going to say is, "Can I help you?" And what do you think my normal response is if someone says, "Can I help you?" and I walk into a retail store?
I would say no, thank you. I'm just
Yeah, I'm
browsing.
just looking, right? They didn't do anything to break my pattern. I've been saying that for years, right? No, I'm just looking. The reality is, if you're a guy, you're not walking into a retail store because you're just looking. You know exactly what you are looking for, but they didn't do anything to break my pattern. So a good example of breaking your pattern is, what about saying, "Where did you get those shoes?
Mm.
Did you get those, right? An open-ended question like that. Not, did you get those shoes here? If you know, where'd you get those shoes at? Those are not, that's breaking the, and now it starts a different kind of conversation. The other thing I want to talk about, a pattern interrupt, is that a lot of the times you'll know what that pattern is intuitively. Especially, again, I'm talking about people that have done their profession for a while, like yourself, like myself. I say we operate in patterns, and then the people we deal with might be. Therefore, you probably know what their pattern is intuitively. Just like you know that when you walk into a retail store, what they're going to say. So I want to make this helpful for everybody that's watching. And so we'll do a little role play. We'll even help you out, kind of like when we had Brent and we asked him a sales question, right?
All right.
Can you think of the last time that when you went into a meeting, you had a little bit of anxiety thinking they might ask this objection or they might ask that one, whether they did or they didn't? Well, two things. Either they did and you thought that's exactly what I was going to ask, or they didn't bring it up, but you intuitively thought that they would. Can you think of a time like that, and what did they ask or say?
Okay, so let's see. A time that I was a little stressed. I'm always stressed when I'm going to show somebody a design from a website.
Okay. Okay. Yes.
So I'm coming in to show them the design and I'm going to ask for their feedback on the website. That's a good example of one, I suppose. So, they're either going to love it or they're not going to love it.
And when you say you can sometimes be a little bit stressed, does some of that have to do with whatever communication has been happening via email? Like maybe it's not happening fast enough. And that's just human nature. We all want it to happen faster than, right? So do you have sometimes that the issue is going to be, why isn't it done yet?
Yes, that one. Yes, that's also one. Yep, we can definitely do that.
Okay. And do they normally bring that up first? And then if we can use that word, overcome the objection?
Yes, I got you. Yes. They would, yeah, that would be one of the first topics if that's on their mind, or I would want to cover it first if I think it's something that's going to need to be covered.
Good. Very good. We're now going to go to step 12, which they go together. It's alignment. Alignment means learn to use and, not but.
Oh, I like this one. I have done this one, yes.
They go together. They're going to go together. I'll explain why. Because my definition of a pattern interrupt is you use that intuition, that gut feeling, right, that God gave you, right, that you've got that. If it's in the back of your mind, if you're thinking it, bring it up. And use the word and when you're doing it, not but. So, for example, you said that sometimes you will bring it up before they bring it up, what you think the objection is. That's really good that you do that, because the typical, what is taught in sales, I think, is listen, be a good listener, let them, and then even negotiation tactics or whatever that they teach at seminars will say, let them do all the talking first. Be a good listener. And nowhere would you ever hear that you would say to the person, no, I'm going to go first. I'm actually going to interrupt you. Yet it is important if you have this gut feeling or this anxiety that you're feeling, right, that you said, or there's been communication or phone calls that you can tell they're a little impatient. Here's why you do want to bring it up first, because then when they give you the objection and then you go to overcome it, if it's true what you're going to say, which I'm sure it is if it comes out of your mouth, it may come across like you're just saying whatever you can to overcome the objection. Do you understand what I mean by that?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so for example, let's assume they were literally just 1 week away from the website being completed. And let's assume they began by saying, I am not happy with this. I was told it would be done a week ago. We're probably now 5 weeks away. I am really upset about this. And then you'd say, actually, I have good news. We're 1 week away. Be like, yeah, how do I know if you're telling me the truth? I just told you I wanted to be a week away. So you want to mention that up front. I'm going to give a real example where this happened with a broker that works for me that sends me deals. And he was working on another deal. And he said, Reagan, I need your advice. It's about 10, 12 years ago. And he said, I've got this guy that's going to get funded on 10 million. And he put a deposit down. And the financial institution said that they needed 90 days to do their due diligence. Well, at day 90, they asked for another 2-3 weeks or another 30 days. It was about 10 years ago. I can't remember. And he said, what I'm concerned is they're going to say, I don't want to wait any longer. I want my deposit back. And if they do, I mean, they're not going to steal the money, right? It's an escrow. They'll give it back. But part of the deal is, hey, if you ask for the money, you ask for the deposit back, now we're not going to complete our due diligence, right? I mean, the deal's off. So he said, I'm concerned he's going to say, I want the money back. He says, I've already waited 90 days. We only need another 3 weeks, if even that. And again, he's added 2 points to the loan. So on a $10 million deal, he's going to make $200,000. And he's concerned I'm going to lose that. And I've already been waiting. I haven't made a sale in a while. And he said, I don't know what I'm going to do when I get on that call. And I said, well, let's stop right there. Because he said, I don't know what he's going to say. I go, no, that was when I said, stop right there. You do know what he's going to say. He said, no, I can't read minds. That's okay. I know you can't. Let's guess. Okay, because you've got that anxiety. What do you think he's going to say? He's going to say that there's no way he can wait and he wants the deposit back. Okay, why do you think he's going to say that he needs the deposit back? Oh, he's probably going to say that he's got to pay his bills. That's like the worst one he could say, right? That, hey, I've got bills I'm behind on. I cannot wait any longer. I need the deposit back. And I said, now, you and I both know that worst case scenario could take 30 days. And then from those 30, he's not going to have, I mean, money doesn't just fall from the sky and get wired in at 10 million. There's going to be other legal documents. So realistically, we're looking at about probably 45 days. And he goes, yeah, there's no way he's going to wait that long. I said, okay, so here's what we're going to do. As soon as that, and of course, he wanted me to help on this. So as soon as that conference call, we dial into the conference call, and this guy didn't even wait like a second. As soon as he started talking, I go, whoa, slow down. He goes, no, I need to tell you my financial situation. I need to tell you what's going on. I said, I know that you do. I know that you do. And I actually do mean to interrupt. You know the expression, I don't mean to interrupt. I really do. And he says, well, let me talk first. Like, I'm the customer. I'm the client. Shouldn't good customer service be that you should listen? Right? It's kind of the attitude he had. And I said, no, here's why I'm going to interrupt. Because there is some information I need to tell you about how this financial institution does their due diligence and the deposit that's required. And I just don't want you to waste your breath. Because I have a feeling that what you may say, based on my conversation that I had with them, it's just going to be a waste of breath. So can I go first? And then after I go, then you can talk. And he said, okay, fine. I said, all right. It appears as if they need another 30 days of due diligence. And I know you're going to tell me that you can't wait 30 days. And you'd like the money now because you have bills that you have to pay. And he goes, yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say. And what you don't know is if we request the money back, there's going to be forms. It's going to be a release form that you're backing out of the loan that you're backing out of the due diligence. I mean, they probably even did an appraisal, which costs money, right? So all of that process could take 45 days before you get your money. So, or I'm sorry, the other way around, could take the 30 days. And now we've got 45 that you'd be getting your 10 million.
Right.
So do you really want the money back? I know you need to pay your bills, but worst case scenario, you'll be funded 45 days. So are you willing to wait a little bit longer, being the fact that paperwork could take 3-4 weeks before you get your deposit back?
And then you have to go find new money.
Right. So he's like, oh, okay, I got you. I go, now I want to give you a chance to talk. Remember, I interrupted and I said, he said, no, I don't have anything else to say. Great. I look forward to celebrating with you in about 2 months from now. See, and I purposely only got off the phone. So do you understand, if he would have said, I cannot wait any longer, this is going to happen, and then I'd have to sell him
Right.
on why. You understand
what I think you did a great job. Yeah.
And you want to use and. So you want to use 3 things when I say on the pattern interrupt. One is that you appreciate them, that you respect, and you appreciate, you respect. Gosh, did I wonder if I had this down in case I'd forget, because I agree.
That's good.
All right.
Appreciate, respect, and agree.
So in other words, I need my money back right away because I got to pay bills. I can appreciate that. And you can, right? You can. I respect the fact that you have bills that you need to pay. And I also agree with the fact that you'd like the deposit back now. And now we're going to get to step 12. And if you're be a little bit more patient, you have the 10 million you'll need for the funding.
Got it.
So I'm not but negates and aligns.
I like it.
So if I'd say, I know that you say you need the money now, but now you're not going to get funded. I'm not agreeing with him. I'm arguing. I'm explaining to him, I don't care about your bills. Hold on another 30 days or 60 days or 45 days. And instead, I'm saying, I appreciate what you're saying. I respect it. And if I was in your situation, I would agree. And let me tell you our situation. So remember to use and not but. So perfect example. Let's assume you were cooking a meal for Brian. And I'm going to pick my favorite meal. So let's assume it was salmon and you made potatoes with it. I actually like it with asparagus. I think that's better with the salmon. So imagine if instead Brian said, I really like the salmon, but why don't you make it with asparagus next time? Now that makes it sound like they did. And what if instead he would have said, I like the salmon that you cooked, and I bet it would taste better with asparagus next time. See the difference?
Yeah.
Website being built. Here's another good example. When you built mine, there might have been 1 or 2 grammatical errors somewhere or spaces. Imagine if I would have said, Tessa, I love how the website came out, but there are 2 spots where you misspelled something. You'd say, gosh, you really didn't like the way the website came out. Now, look at the difference if I'd say, I like the way the website came out, and There were just two areas where there were misspellings.
It definitely feels better. It's surprising. I've started using the and instead of but in a lot of my communications, and it makes a huge difference. For sure.
The butt's going to
The
limit
butt will
it.
kill you guys. The butt will kill you.
Yeah, I always say you want to get your big butt out of the way.
I
All
like
right.
it.
Yeah, that's what I remind myself. Another one that's a good one to use, I forgot, is because. Because. So when you're making a point, giving the example I gave, I would say, I understand that you need the money back because you need to pay your bills. And I know that you're going to tell me that you can't wait past 30 days. And I'm going to ask you to give it another 30 days because a week after that, you'll be fully funded. So, and because also aligns really well. People don't know why that does, but it does. And when you said you've been working on that, do you notice that I use and never use, but I use however if I have to, and I never use but.
I think you're a very good model of this. I mean, you've obviously been doing this for a while and you know it gets the best results. So
you notice on emails, I do that with you, don't I? With and?
Yes.
So some people have said to me, Reagan, in email, sometimes it doesn't feel like it makes sense to put and. There are times that it's like so appropriate to then use however. But even however, so what? This isn't, you're not in school. This isn't a test you're going to be on. Your goal is to align with your client. So let me wrap up with this. The information that I just gave you about aligning, about using and, is completely worthless unless you do something with it, right? If not, it was just good information. So I will close with the story. I literally just thought of this a few seconds ago. So I thought to close with the story about how information can sometimes be worthless unless you do something with it. There was this wise man that went into this town, and he would come into this village and people would ask him all these questions because he was so wise and he would give them the answers. Well, there was this one young kid that lived in this village, kind of a bigger kid, and he didn't like the wise man because he got a lot of attention. So he thought of an idea. The next time the wise man comes into town, he's going to show him up. He's going to say to he's going to get this bird and he's going to put it behind his back, right, in his hands. And he's going to say to the old man, hey, can you guess what I have in my hands? He probably couldn't guess, but if he does, he's going to say, okay, you guessed it was a bird, but is it dead or alive? He'll say it's alive. And if it is, I'll just squish it and prove to the wise man that it's dead. If he says that it's dead, then I open up my hands and show him that it's alive. You heard this story before, Tessa?
No, but I think it's funny.
So the day comes when all the other people from all the villages gather around to hear the wisdom from this wise man. And all of a sudden, the bigger kid jumps up and goes, hey, old man, what do I got behind my back? The wise man says, son, you have a bird. He says, yeah, but old man, is it dead or is it alive? He says, son, it's in your hands.
Oh.
So the information that I gave you is in your hands. What you do with it is up to you.
Oh, I love it. Well, thank you. And we made it through all 12 steps on how to raise funds. And you can actually see all these steps, all the words of wisdom that we've gotten from Reagan over the last couple shows in our in the actual comment section. You can see all of the shows. You can go back and watch the previous ones. And you can always hit the bell and get notifications when we go live. We're here every Friday at noon Eastern time. Thank you all so much for being here. Thank you, Reagan, for your wisdom.
You're quite welcome.